Hello.
It's not Tuesday.
It is not. It is Friday. I know what day it is. I've been counting down to this day.
I know. So Dave has next week off too. So he has been rubbing it in my face. He's like, you should take the day off. I'm like, I'm sure Jean would like it if Lisa and I were both gone at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been saying that. I keep telling him to hush. Oh, yes. This is the last time you'll be here before Christmas.
Before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Until I go, oh crap, I need more of X, Y, or Z.
Right.
And
right.
have to come pick it up like everybody else does.
So today we have some fun software and scan and cut and an embroidery project and a little bit of sewing as well.
We touched everything except a serger for this project.
Right, which you could probably put it together on a serger if you really wanted to.
If you liked to sew on your serger, like just regular sewing on your serger, you absolutely could build this on your serger as well.
Yep, for sure. So we're going to be showing some software that you can purchase, some free software, and we have our projects, and then we're going to show a fun layering, how to layer this project.
Yep.
And it should be a lot of fun.
It should. We've got lots of fun things, and a lot of you have gone home with one of these softwares, which was kind of what prompted this as a, hey, this would be a great thing to work on.
Yep.
Because there's so many. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is BES Blue software, which is kind of an entry level, and it's made by Brother, and it's got a lot of power for.
Your chair is just bopping this.
Oh.
I don't know that it matters, but I didn't want it to
we'll see what happens.
Okay.
So, it's got a lot of powerful punch for the little package that it is.
For sure.
So we thought we would do a little bit in there and show some of its power and show you guys a little bit of how to use that software. And then we kind of we also have done a lot of scan and cuts recently.
Yes.
Maybe we should
do a little bit
show
about
how that works too.
Yeah.
So we are going to basically do the same project for both embroidery and scan and cut, and we're going to show how that was created in both types of software.
It'll be super fun. Subway art or graffiti art or wordplay is a lot of fun to do, and I've been doing it for years.
The hard way.
But the software that I had, like I could put all of the words in there and then I could change the individual fonts easily, but I had to flip and turn the words.
You had to use your rotate.
I did. I had to use rotate and that stuff. But with this program having the wordplay part built in. Yeah. It just, you can tell it, you and I both like horizontal and vertical, not so much the diagonal.
I wasn't a fan of. We
Maybe
did
if
play,
it was
and we'll show it. We'll show what it looks like so you guys can see and make your own decisions, but wasn't super excited about it.
Yeah.
And then I did play afterwards. So I let the computer get me almost to where I wanted to be. And then I
edited after that.
Of course I played.
Of course. That's what we do. All right. So should we just get right into it?
I think so. And please feel free to pop up questions, and we will try to answer all of them.
Yeah.
So I am fairly new to, BS Blue in general is new.
Yes.
So I am fairly new. I don't know all of the answers on that software, but we'll do our best to answer everything possible. So I'm going to go and share my screen and hopefully Yay. All right. So this is
and I am going to make that bigger for us. So do you want a split screen or do you want that to be the whole screen?
Either way is fine. So the one that way was that.
Yeah. So we've got that, or we can go, I think that one or that one.
That one's probably better.
Okay.
They don't need to see us. They don't care.
No, probably not.
No. Okay, so this is basically the file that we ended up with. So this is the finished file. And so what we're going to do today is basically start from scratch all over again. So to get a blank screen all the way up in the top left corner, which is under our
You might have to make your screen just a smidge smaller.
I was just going to say it's under our name stuff up at the top, but let's see if I can make this. It's just like filling the space. There we go. Come on, you can do it.
There we go.
Here we go. I couldn't do that live because I couldn't see it. Is that really? Okay. Is it really going to do that? All right. So, wow, that's tiny. Yeah, how about that's about as good as I can get, I think.
Yep.
All right. So the up here at the top is our new page. So I'm gonna just get a new page there. Wow, that's blinking like crazy on my screen. So plain white space, that's what I'm looking for.
It's a little better now.
It is a little better, thank goodness. So and there, I spoke too soon. So I'm going to go to my tools and I want a word collage, which that is going to basically be a tool that's going to do all of the work for me. And so a couple of questions are already popping up over there. One, yes, this is absolutely available in BES4, which is a fuller version of this software. And two, I'm going to basically repeat these steps in another software and show how to do this for the scan and cut. So we're starting with the embroidery version, but
yes,
I will show how to do this on a scan and cut as well.
We are on BES Blue.
Yes, and there is a way to export files out of here for your scan and cut. So this has really got a lot of power in here, and I will show what that looks like. But there are a few issues with something of this many files when you export, and I'll show you what that means when we get there. We're really far from that. So I'm going to click on the word collage, and I get this beautiful box that pops up, and I do realize that you're not seeing everything there. So hopefully that one works a little bit better. Over on the right here, I have all kinds of shapes. So if I were trying to do like an applique type thing, and it had all of these words that filled that space, I could fit it into all kinds of weird shapes. So I have lots of different shapes, and I understand that drop downs don't really work on this screen.
But as you scroll through, they can kind of see the shape thing.
You can see it changing at the top, right? Sort of.
Yeah, when you
as I
scroll,
highlight it.
okay. Yep.
So there's birds and bells and bird houses and bunnies. There's a bunny. He's really cute. So there's all kinds of fun things that we can do. There wasn't really any sewing themed shapes on here, which isn't what we wanted anyways, but we did contemplate talking about doing a sewing theme. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the S's because I want a square, because we already had planned, or a rectangle. Let's do that. We're going to do a rectangle round.
Perfect.
That's perfect. All right. So we have rounded corners. You can have unrounded corners if you prefer. And we can set our shape sizes in there too. So we wanted to have a specific size. So I did 5, and then I'm just going to put by 6 today because what the heck. And so my box is going to automatically adjust based on the size that I give it. So my rectangle in this instance will move to whatever I say.
Yeah, you've also got maintain aspect ratio on there.
So let's change that, and I'm going to make a square. Ha ha. All right.
There you go.
All right, so we're going to take that off, and now we're going to have maybe a square.
Yep, looks like it.
All right, so we are, just doesn't want to, now going to go down into the words category. And this is where you have to get creative. So what words do you want to be in your piece? So on ours, I don't know if, there you go. If you can see our pillow in there, we've got a lot of different words in there. So we just kind of went through all of the different things. The only thing we didn't really put in there was the scan and cut. But we've got embroider and sew and quilt and thread and stitch and all different kinds of things. And so if you are,
yep,
that's
there we go. I was trying to see if I could make that more
rectangular.
Yeah, it just isn't gonna.
It's not wanting to play nice today. it's really interesting. But so I'm going to highlight the words that are in there because I don't want word collage as part of the words in my word collage.
No.
And so we could do this with a winter theme or a Christmas theme or a birthday theme.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what it is that you are typing in there. So you can literally do this for whatever you would like. We just did a sewing themed pattern. So if we're repeating what we were doing, and you can see that I am typing with all caps there. Whatever you type is how it's going to go into the scatter. So if I do some of one and some of the other, then I'll get a little bit of a mix and a match, which gives it some variance when it kind of auto fills in
Absolutely.
there. You separate the words with a comma, which is all that it needs, and a space. I bet you it would work even without the space, but my brain can't handle that. So I am just typing in
Sewing
things
stuff
that we used before. And I know you got me on a needle. Let's
hoop. Did you get hoop?
I got
bobbin.
I think I did. Yeah. All right. So that's good enough anyways. And then below that, you have the max number of paths. So how many total words do you want in there? We can lower that down because I know that it did way more than maybe, I don't remember how many we have. And then the max number of colors. Now this one does really matter because it's how many colors it's going to throw in there. So you can certainly go back and change it later, but that does cause you more work. So it definitely gives you a little bit better visual of how you're going to end if you start that way.
Yeah, if you only put like 2 or 3 colors in there, it's really going to look like the colors are kind of grouped together.
It will.
So
Most
while
definitely.
It's kind of a pain to have
color stops,
it does look better with more
I
colors.
would think 5 is probably the minimum, which is what it pops up with. I wouldn't recommend going less than that 5 that it pops up with.
No.
We used 6, and I think that's a really nice color. If you happen to have a 10 needle, 10 is great.
So,
absolutely. So somewhere in that range. More than that, it's going to actually probably start looking like it doesn't go together.
Right.
Depending upon what you're doing, of course, and how big it is. We're working in a 5-inch area. So trying to put too much in a 5-inch area is also going to overwhelm. So far we have chosen a shape that we want. We have chosen the size, what words we want in there, and how many colors we want those words to be in.
And if you don't want we didn't end up stitching out our shape, you can get rid of that later on, but you need the shape in order to basically have a place for the words to form. Yeah. So you can, at the top of that, it says shape, type, satin stitch. You can change the type if you wanted to applique this onto something. You could absolutely do that, but we're kind of just ignoring the shape. Part because we didn't the shape stitch part.
We ended up removing that portion because we wanted to.
Yes.
Isn't it great to be able to do what you want?
It really is. And so you can do the same thing. You can keep it or you can get rid of it. So
very, very flexible depending upon how you want it to work. So the next thing that we really want to do is, what kind of font do we want these to be in? Do we want them to be a script? Do we want it to be a block? This particular option, we can choose the type of fonts. And you can see that it's highlighted. I have either a run font
all run
choice or script font choice, or I can literally choose from everything. So I just have all selected. And I'm going to just use the default that it has in there. And the Drake is actually what we ended up using. If I remember, maybe not. We might have changed it. I think we did change it.
Pull that down. I think I'll remember it if we see it.
I don't know. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Lively. That's the one. We chose Lively. So we're going to choose Lively again because why not? Okay. So, and then you can, of course, choose the size to scale. So like how much of a range of sizes you're going to get. So if you don't want anything super, super small, your minimum you want to be larger. And then very importantly, like we said, that angle, which is right over here in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Right now it's on any, which means you're going to get diagonal lines, you're going to get horizontal lines, and you're going to get vertical. We're going to do that first.
So
you can see what that looks like. We don't generally prefer the diagonal lines,
especially in a square.
Depending upon what you're doing, it might be great. And then I also went through and added designs, which sometimes a diagonal will give you a nice space to put a design in.
Yeah.
So if that is what you're looking at, you certainly, can play with that. I'm going to scroll up on my screen. So the top of the box is going to disappear for a second so you can see what the bottom looks like. So sorry, excuse me. I don't know if I can go any higher.
Can you?
I can raise the box, I think. Make the box smaller. I can't make this box any smaller. Okay, so at the bottom of the box.
Here, let me get rid of our banner temporarily.
Do is right. See if that matters. All right. So at the very bottom of the screen, we have the word generate, which is going to literally generate from what it's at. And the first time you do that always takes the longest. So I'm going to go ahead and click that while it's thinking about it. And then to the right of that, we have OK and cancel. OK is saying, I like what's on screen. Set it to my working page. So you only want to click that when you're done.
Yes.
The cancel means I don't want to do this anymore, and it doesn't put anything on your working page. And
you have to start all over again.
So this is what we were talking about. I'm going to get rid of that so you guys can see the top of that a little bit better. All right, there we go. So the words are really scattered, but I have a lot of empty space. And this is what generally happens when you have that diagonal chosen. There can't be a diagonal and not have space being lost, if you will. So I'm going to uncheck the any, and I am going to select our vertical and our horizontal, and I'm going to regenerate and let it think about that all over again. So it will come up with something, in my opinion, that is much, much cleaner. And I like that better. Now, those colors personally look like a little bit of vomit to me. So I'm not real happy with that. The words aren't actually all even in there. So I did put in the word embroider, and it's only in there in a really, really small word in there. So I'm going to regenerate.
Yep.
So if you don't personally like what you got there, just hit generate again. One thing to keep in mind is you can't go back.
Yes.
Which is a sad point. I really wish that we could mark it as like, I like that, but I want to keep going.
Yeah, save for later.
Unfortunately, that they don't have that, at least not in this version of this. So we can keep going. That one I like a little better, but the big ones all going vertically, not so much. Now I could change the color and that wouldn't be quite so obvious. So I could change the color later. But we literally, I just want you guys to see the generate. When you do that, and you'll see it pops them up pretty fast after the first one. That one's cool. Not too bad. I kind of like that one, and we could manipulate things around a little bit after the fact. So if you like what you see, then you would click OK. And I don't want to spend all day clicking generate here. So we're going to move forward, and I'm going to click OK, and it's going to go to our working page. So we're going to lose that pop-up box, and we come to the working page. So let's, that's so weird. That is the oddest thing I've ever seen. Okay. So in here, you guys can see all of the jumps and everything that's happening. We know we have 6 colors, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because that's red again.
Yeah, one is the outline. So
one is the outline.
Yes,
so
6 plus the outline.
The first thing that I want to do is unselect everything, and I'm going to get rid of my outline. So I literally just click delete, and it goes bye-bye, and I have all of my colors. So I can select individual letters, not letters. I can select individual words and change colors. So if I say, I want one of these colors to be that red because there's way too much. I can select that, and I can change it to a red color. So you can see how quickly things start to change visually just by changing thread colors.
Yep.
Now, these are obviously not the thread colors that we used either. So you can see across the top of the screen that I have other thread colors, and I can change those as well. So I can do that and change my thread colors. I'm not going to waste the time to do that either.
Right.
It's very, very simple to do, but it does take time to go in and change everybody's thread colors. So I'm just going to leave those as they are for the moment. But you can see that I have little spaces and things in here. And that's where I had a little bit of fun in adding in a sewing machine, little stitch out and things like that. And I also did that on the Scan and Cut version. So those are slightly different on the Scan and Cut version on some of them than they were on the embroidered just because they had to be.
Yeah.
It's really hard to cut thread. It doesn't it doesn't cut very well. It looks like nothing.
Yes,
imagine
that's
that.
True. That's
doesn't really look like much. So there's some slight variances that I took the liberty of making. But if you wanted, you know, one of these larger words to be up here, you could literally start moving things. And that's what I did. So I liked the base, but I said, you know, I'm not really sure what I want to do here. So I want, you know, maybe this to be somewhere else. So I started moving things off to the side and then kind of rearranging. So the base was built for me.
Yes.
I didn't have to do all of the work. I liked the font. It stitched out beautifully, but I was able to play.
Yes.
So even though this isn't a full digitizing software, you have a lot of playing power in here.
Yes. And really quickly, if you look on the right-hand side of the screen, you see where it says Lively. Right underneath there is a place where you could easily change
your word.
That particular. So you literally, you could just change that particular font if you wanted to be something else. So if you didn't want all of your words to have the exact same font, you could change a couple of the words as you do this. So, I mean, if you've ever done this any other way, this just
is so much easier.
Hours of time.
So,
like so much of my time I could have got back.
Right. My life changed in a blink of an eye, right?
Right.
So here's this word quilt. I can, you know, kind of maneuver it around. We can come over here and we can change. I have no idea what all of these look like. Yeah, that one's not going to look very good. That one's fun. But it doesn't.
But you can see it, and then it made it a little bit too big. It
changes the size and how it fits in there. So yeah, that doesn't work in here. So let's try what Nicole. She looks like she's going to look pretty good, but then we probably want to make her a little bit smaller and so on and so forth. So we can manipulate color, font with literally the click of a button. So again, this is a very basic software and it is like $450 or something like that. Yeah. Which for being able to create, which is the thing that people really want to be able to do, the gut is lettering.
Yes.
That's what we hear the most. I really want to be able to put words, whether it be a poem, whether it be a recipe, names, all of those things. We don't plan to really talk about that today, but on the home screen here, if you look across the top of some of these different tools, there's a name drop option. What that means is if you have like a logo and you have 10 people.
Yes.
So maybe you are making family Christmas sweaters and you have the Christmas tree logo that you've designed that you want everybody and you want to put everybody's name under it. You can make a list and it will literally auto fill in the, it will literally auto in all of those names into that space.
So you don't have to manually
don't have to do that. And that is the name drop feature. The monogram designer is exactly what it sounds like. Monograms are huge in embroidery. Are we $3.99?
Yeah, that is our.
Okay, it is $3.99. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to go too low.
Yeah, Linda. Yes, this can be purchased. It can be purchased separately.
Yep.
And it is $399. So as software goes, it is the least expensive program that we have that gives you all of these features.
There's a lot in here. So you can resize things, you can add, you can combine in the hoop. You know, a lot of people that are just getting started in embroidery want to be able to play,
yes,
but don't, first of all, want to spend $1,800 on a full version.
Right.
Because holy crap,
yeah,
you know, I only spent 1,000 on my machine, or 2,000 on my machine. I can't spend that much again on embroidery software, but I want to be able to do these things, or at least something.
Yep.
And play a little bit and adjust and make some of those changes.
Mm-hmm.
This has got a lot of power in it. It's
Yep.
not a full digitizing. So when I created those other designs, I did do with them in my other software, and then I saved them and brought them in here.
Yes.
So I did not create the embroidery machine and
right,
or not this, the sewing machine, the spool of thread. I did create those and bring them in here. So just FYI, those were not created in here.
However, there are a lot of like wingdings and webdings and types of things. So like if you typed in sewing font, you might find a font that is like a regular
like when you type A, it pulls up a sewing machine.
Yes.
And when you type B, it pulls up a spool of thread. I didn't have time to go find that.
Yes.
So it was faster for me to go the other route.
But I promise you they're probably out there. When I made that laptop bag that I have, I found like cassette tapes and floppy disks and you know, the Apple sign and all kinds of different things that were just.
There are tons of icons. I mean, there's even Disney ones out there. If you know, I didn't say that.
Right.
But.
Right.
I guess you can prove that I did, but I mean, I've seen them.
I mean, we didn't make it, so we're not.
I didn't. I saw it. I didn't buy it.
Right. It's free.
I saw it, and I was like, oh.
So yeah,
that's not smart.
There's so many things that you can do with the font parts of
Absolutely. And that font feature is what BES and all versions of BES has like their rep behind.
Yes.
That is the powerful piece of BES is they are a lettering software.
Yes. And this isn't really a disadvantage. The only disadvantage of this software is that it is not upgradable.
Right.
So you purchase this software and there is no.
You can't then move to BES4 later with an upgrade.
Or BES Blue Plus. Or no. I mean, they don't make
at
any
least
other
as
version.
of right now, there is nowhere to go. This is a new software, so I mean, anything is possible, but I don't anticipate that being a thing.
No.
So just FYI. We did talk a little bit about scan and cut. So there is a way to export your scan and cut file out of here as well. Under tools, it's super simple. It says export FCM. It literally is exactly what it says. So if you have an applique piece, it will literally give you that applique piece and export it so that you can have that cut file that you need. When I was like, I wonder if this will work. And I clicked on that button, it asks me, you know, where do I want to put it? And I just said test file, and I sent it out there. The problem with fonts, when you go to send them out, if they're an embroidery font, they don't necessarily
they might
consist of one part.
Piece. Yes.
So like the cross of the E was one part and the loop of that was a C. So basically there was a bar and then there was a C. And so there was cut lines on top of cut lines.
Yes.
And when you have that many, it would have taken me days and days and days to go through and merge each individual line to make that work for this as a cut line. So I did not use this software and export it out to make that. We used a secondary software, which we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. So you can export and save cut files out of here. It is under tools. And it's literally that simple. You click export FCM and it will take what you have on screen and send out your cut files.
Yes.
Super, super simple. And it worked beautifully. It's just happened to be what I had on screen didn't work for what I was asking it to do.
Right.
But as far as being able to actually send out a cut file, if you are looking for something that gives you that capability, that is a tool that this software can also do.
Yes. And this is coming free with like the 1700 and the 3700. And it was coming free with the XP3s and XP2s recently.
Yes.
So we have sold a bunch of machines that have received this software. So lots of you might have this, and you might even have more expensive software at home as
Right.
well. But this is a really fun way of using this software.
Yay. We need that. That's a good thing. So there is quite a bit in this this piece. So there is a scan and cut section. There is actually a converting section. So you can actually change your file format in here. So that is something that, you know, if you had brand hopped and you had a huge selection of different brand files, you can use this software to convert and get those into your PES or whichever direction it is that you need to go.
Yep.
So that is an option as well. And then here is the word collage, which is where we started at this morning. So again, these can be in shapes that are odd shapes, you know, so not just a square or a circle or those kinds of things, but they can also be very basic shapes as well, which is where we went.
Yeah.
We were just keeping it nice and simple, which is sometimes the best way to go.
Yes.
So if there are alignment tools, there's rotating tools, and then of course, like we said, there's a lot of font and text tools here because that really is their claim to fame here in the BES line is the font options. So that is the embroidery and how you can create one of these font play, word collage, subway, embroidery. There's lots of names for those.
So many names.
It's just a matter of where you're coming from, what you might call it.
Yep.
So there's lots of different names.
Same thing, different name.
What that is
that
maybe
darn
called.
Skinning that cat, right?
Yeah, that
Way to do
poor
it.
poor cat.
All right.
So that is our. I'm gonna just get rid of that one so I have less here. No, I don't want you to do that. All right, so that is the embroidery portion, and so that is this guy here. So we did, as you can see, oh, we're upside down again, but that's all right. We keep going upside down often on those. So you can see that we did change colors. We definitely had a color theme going on here. And I actually deleted out the O in that word bobbin there and put the bobbin in for the O. And then I pulled in some scissors and had some fun with that. And then that little sewing machine I stole from Kimberbell. That was bad. That was bad. But it was on that one. It was on a grave marker and I went, hey, that's the perfect size. Ding. So I used that. Shh, don't tell anybody. I could have created it.
Yes.
But it was right there.
It was right there.
Right there. So that's how easy it is.
Yeah.
I guess that was my point is sometimes you already have what you need.
The piece and file.
Yes. So you can sometimes find those in other files that you own and move them over and then fill in those blanks. So I just maneuvered things around and said, hey, I want to put this here and made room for it by moving my letters and you can resize those and all of that good stuff. So
yeah, software lets you resize a lot more efficiently than at your sewing machine. Yes.
You have a lot more, oh, that didn't work happening if you use software.
For sure.
Absolutely. So that is number one that we were going to talk about off that list. So the second piece is called Craft and Cut. So we do have a free software, which is the Canvas Workspace, and I will touch on that very briefly. But we don't talk about Craft and Cut a whole lot. I talk about it sometimes in class because that's what I use to create a lot of the files that we use in class because I find that it's easier for me to create them than it is to try to go and send you guys places to buy them. So that is what I use quite often. And it is a full software. And I think that one's the 449, which is where that was stuck in my head.
Yep.
And so this one is a purchasing software. It has the ability to do cut files. That is what it is. It's not an embroidery software. However, because cut files are 50% of your applique, it can create applique files and export out the embroidery file for an applique. That is the one exception to the no embroidery file rule in Craft and Cut. So without further ado, let's start talking about that, guys. So I'm like, where'd it go? Wrong screen. All right, so this is the same. Nope, we're good there, I think.
Yeah, that looks good.
All right. Take a drink first. Hang on.
So this is Craft and Cut. And this is a Craft and Cut is a
It is
Floriani?
done by Floriani.
Yes.
Yes.
So we have heard a rumor that Dime might be coming out.
There is a new software. I couldn't get him to tell me what it is.
Right.
But there is a new software coming. And when I asked him if it was cutting software, he hedged. So
we think
I'm wondering if it is a cutting software. So I'm excited that might be a possibility, just because I use this a lot.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I absolutely love about cut files and the difference between cutting files versus embroidery files is fonts. So we're talking about fonts. When you are creating a font file in a cut file, you can use pretty much anything you want. There are no rules.
Right.
Where in embroidery, there are fonts that you should never stitch.
Right.
Because of the way the lines go, they just are going to eat up your fabric, or they just don't work.
They don't stitch out well.
They don't stitch well. There's really not an exception for the most part when it comes to a cut file. So, I mean, you can get too small where it gets really, really hard. But if you look at these, there's some really small little pieces in there. And it worked really, really well, and it cut super clean. So there is, there's not a lot of rules, and I like that. So if you have been in one of my classes before, you know that I have what some lovingly have called a font fetish. I have a ton of font files in my computer, to the point where I actually had to go in there and delete some because it was slowing my computer down. So that's how many fonts I have in that folder. So I had to actually go in there and get rid of some. And I didn't get rid of them. I just moved them out of the folder.
Yeah.
So
if you do have a ton of fonts, it can do two things. It can slow your computer down. It can slow your software down.
It can slow your software
down.
Because it has to load all of those.
And your Craft and Cut software. So anything that loads those, like Word, Microsoft, those types of programs, it can really bog them down.
Yeah, because I had just gotten this, this computer's only a year old. And I mean, it's a pretty substantial computer. And I'm like, what is wrong with this? And you said that, and I was like, oh. Yeah, I did just add a whole bunch. That's probably it. So I went in and moved some that, sometimes you get like 6 of the same thing and they're just mildly different.
Yep.
And I deleted a bunch of that, and we're both like,
ding, ding, ding.
I love my children. So yeah,
I had a Grandma Mary too.
Yeah.
I miss her.
That's going to have to work. So
be selective about your font.
Yes. You can have a lot in there, but especially if you get 6 of the same thing, and one is bold and one is thin, and one, you only need one because you can click bold. You can change those things later. So be smart about that when you're downloading the hundreds and hundreds of fonts that you might put in there. So yes, we are sharing the screen of my computer, and it gives you a larger view of my computer screen. So we're still here. We didn't run away. We're just hiding in the background, Miss Mary Ann. So we'll be back in a few minutes. So we are going to talk about what in this program is called font play. And it looks suspiciously similar to the other. Whoa. That's that's not what I want. I'm over here. It's still called wordplay. See what happens when you don't sleep?
Yes.
We're going to still do wordplay. I'm like, no, it's not. What are you doing? So over here, we still have a drop down menu that you can't see. I'm just going to scroll down and
go to a square again.
Get a square so that we can maybe there, rounded box. All right. And change to 5 by 5. We're in inches. It is blinking like crazy over here. So sorry. I have no idea why it's doing that. And so dill pickle is the equivalent of lively. Go figure. So should we do something else?
Yeah, let's do like a winter one.
Let's do winter.
So like winter, snow, snowmen, snowflakes. Cold, yeah. Fur, gloves, hats, scarf, yeah.
I don't think I did snowman. All right, that's good enough. All right, so again, I am going to only check the vertical and the horizontal because we've already established that we don't like the diagonal piece. So I am sorry that things are going nuts over there. Anytime my mouse goes over something, it starts flashing. And it's got something to do with the shared screen, but I don't really know what. So we're going to generate and let that work up a piece there. And I have a max of 15 colors at the moment. And you'll see how much more, holy crap, that looks
That's
like.
That's really cute, though.
It actually did a pretty good job.
Yes.
So you can see that we've got lots of different colors, lights and darks, and all of those different things in there. So it can be literally whatever. And I am 100% sure that we could find a font that had a snowman,
gloves,
and
yeah,
you know, mittens,
snowflakes,
and in a snowflake, in a Christmas tree, or you know, like a fir tree kind of thing. But not only that, this program in particular has a lot of shapes in there. So we have that ability. So I'm going to get out of here because this is like crazy. Does that work for you? Or should we try again? Let's try
do one more.
A couple more.
Yeah.
Maybe. So the colors are still really, really high.
That's really cool. Look at how tiny that is. That's totally something that I would do.
All right, so I'm going to leave that there, but holy crow, is that a lot of red. So first thing is, again, I'm going to get rid of that exterior box, and I am going to make a couple of these not red because they're killing me. Let's just change. So all I am doing is selecting a few of these colors and changing them. So I won't change all of your pink. But I could also add colors or remove colors to the palette if I wanted to as well. So there is not a lot of empty space in here. But what we have is, instead of on the left side of the screen, we have all of our colors on the right side of the screen. And I can see where all of those, I'm scrolling a little bit, you guys can see all of that different information there. I have the ability to change fonts, again, with a single piece. So let's say I wanted the word cold to be changed. And I hit that. You can see that that would change. I can resize and try to get that kind of back in that same area. It's still a little big.
Yeah, but like you could then delete hat if you wanted to.
Right. Or I could make hat a little smaller so that it will fit. Or I could rotate hat so that it goes this way and make it fit in here as well. So you can literally manipulate all of the pieces to wherever and however you would like. So you get it to where you like whatever it is. If I wanted to put a shape, I could take this, I can delete that word out. And I can then go into my shapes tools over here, and here's a tree. That's a really, really big tree. I don't need him that big. I can take and make that smaller and stick that tree right in there, and now I have a tree. So in this program, it is literally
that's kind of what it does.
So the feature that we used in the word play is going to generate the words. We can, one, make the words larger so that there is a size choice. You can do that. Two, we have a lot of colors in there. So it does look like there's a lot more going on than with the 6 colors. What I did for our pillow is I literally entered in the exact same things with all of the same measurements, and then got something as close as possible on my screen. And then I literally was doing this. And I said, okay, I don't need that one. I don't need that one. I don't need that one, or I don't need it where it is. And I need this up here, and so on and so forth. So I literally had the picture of my embroidered one in front of me. I printed it out and I moved everything around until I had the same sizes and colors in the same places. So I let the computer generate all my sizes at least close for me. And then I just moved them until they were in the same spaces for an equivalent in a cut file that I had there. And when I export these, they are all going to export without multiple cuts for a letter, like we were talking about out of.
So this says, when you remove the outside line, does the stitch out still maintain the original shape? Yes.
As long as I don't do this.
As long as Lisa doesn't leave, those pieces out there.
As long as I leave that in there. So I left that square in there for a little while, but I mean, you have grid lines behind you as well. So as long as I stayed inside of, I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit. So you have grid lines that you can have on or off. And I just used this line here in the grids as my visual once I got rid of the exterior line.
Or you could leave it on until you're done manipulating it to make sure that you don't exceed. But you also can see your whole design size, correct?
Yep, exactly.
At the top of the screen, it might be hidden a little bit, but it does show.
It's way up there, all the way above these arrows. It tells me the exact size of my design. So I have those words off to the right, which is why I'm wider than I am tall. And I am now smaller than 5 by 5 because the 5 by 5 was the square. And then, like, for instance, there's 2 words that are cold right here. I wouldn't want those right next to one another. So I would have done, take this one out and then make one of those probably a little bit bigger or something like that, and make that adjustment. So I did manipulate things around, but I let the computer generate all of those pieces for me because, as Sarah was saying, when you start from scratch, it's a lot.
Yes.
To have literally a blank slate and start one word at a time. Whether you can copy and paste or not, it's a lot to go, okay, where am I going to put this one? So having something to work off of, you can look at something and go, I don't like that there, and move it really easy. But starting from a complete blank slate and having the where do I go?
Yeah,
it's a
so
lot more daunting than it is to let the computer do the base work for you and then continue and work from there. So like I said, I got some blank spaces and then inserted those different pieces. So again, I could come in here in this program. There's multiple snowflakes. I generally prefer a snowflake with a little bit more of a straight hard line.
Yeah,
but we'll just take
looks
that
like a
one.
jack.
It does look like a jack, but we'll take it and we'll work with it for the moment. I probably would go get a, what are those called off the internet?
SVG, PNG.
A PNG, like a silhouette or clip art. That's the word I'm looking for. Clip art off of the internet, and just do that myself.
Yeah,
because that's not my
if
idea.
You had used wingdings, like in the embroidery one,
right?
You might have those. You would have those.
I would have those same shapes because I know what font that is.
Yes.
So Miss Mary, oh, I'm sorry.
So earlier Pam had said,
so this is the easier method.
Yes, yeah.
By far, from a timing standpoint, letting the computer throw them out on the screen. Again, you can hit generate as many times as you want, and it will just keep throwing up different options on the screen. This one is pretty crazy.
Yeah, totally. It's crazy.
We didn't change a lot of the parameters. I would lower the number of colors and then you would get less craziness on the screen. And then when you come over here, it's not as much of wow.
Right. You could also have increased the size, the minimum and the maximum, which would have given you less little pieces.
So right now we had a 20% to 100%. So that is a very large range in the size of the lettering.
Yes.
So you could certainly manipulate that as well.
And Mary Ann is asking, would you cut this out of fabric or paper?
Neither one. So some of these you could cut out of paper. Most of these, it would just shred the paper. It would not cut very well. These are intended for vinyl cutting and heat transfer vinyl specifically. Even the craft vinyls would cut well, but when you go to weed these tiny little letters, they don't necessarily like to stay stuck. They like to come up with the portions that you're weeding when you have these small little bits.
Yeah, you might want to make your letters a little bit bigger.
If you are planning to do something to put on a glass frame or something like that and frame it, and you're using craft vinyl, you would probably want to make your smallest ones much larger, for sure. So once I have the shapes that I want, just like we do in a regular file, we would go up and we would save. And when we save, we have the ability to save as a FCM, which is the scan and cuts specific. So that is Brothers cut file. You also have the ability in here to save as an SVG. So if we have any Cricut or other cutting machine people out there, you can use this software to create your files. This will work for any cut system. It's not specific to, this is not a brother system. This is a cutting system. It's a generic cutting file creator.
Yes.
So it will work for anybody, just throwing that out there. If you noticed, we also have stitch files up here. These are not stitch files, so there wouldn't be any stitches in that file. It would just be a blank file, but they are available to create. So just because I said that we could do that, and so someone's not wondering what the heck. If I have a shape on the screen and I want it,
tree.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's take our tree. I'm gonna make it bigger so you guys can see. And I want to turn that into an applique. It is so very hard. We select it and we click the applique button. Wow. It's now an applique, which means I have all of my applique steps. So if you look over on the right-hand side, we have our 3 lines. We have the placement line, the tack down line, and the satin stitch. That satin stitch, I do have the ability to adjust the width of, so you have playing power. There is actually some guts to this software. It doesn't have a lot of embroidery power, but the applique feature is very, very well done. And then when I go, I can save that as a PES, as a whatever file extension, and that would give me the cut file that I need.
Yep.
And the embroidery file that I need to finish it off.
Perfect.
So that is, it's literally this button right here.
Yep.
Applique, boom, done. just like that.
Like
and
that. Boom.
boom, just like that. And I also have an undo button, so I can undo all of those things, and I can put them right back in my place.
Yep.
Look at that.
It's nice
So
to be able to put things back in its place.
put their things in their place. Absolutely. So that is how we used the softwares to create the files that we used in our design of choice for holiday 2022.
Yes.
So we have an embroidery file and we have a cutting file. The cutting files, when you have something like this, there's 6 files that we had. So we had 6 colors. And then I took that over and I did save them all grouped. So there was a purple color and there was, you know, all of those different things. But it all loads as one. And it took a hot minute to load because there were so many different cut files in that pattern. So when I am doing things that have that different, like there's definitely layers, I like to save them as a individual layer. So I cut everything that's purple on one and so on and so forth, because
so much
I don't
easier.
want to have to go, now where did this one go or anything like that. So that's how I created them for all of you as well. And that I did in the Canvas workspace, which is the free software, so that you guys could see how that is and how easy it is for you all to do that as well.
So just to clarify, you would use one of the other 2 softwares, right? And then you would save that file. If you use the scan and cut software, does it have to be an FCM file or can it be an SVG file?
It can be an SVG.
So either in the BES file, which we've already talked about wouldn't be the perfect extension to use this in, but if you saved a file from BES or this, you could save it.
Absolutely. And bring it into
and then to the Canvas workspace. Okay.
Yep.
So,
and I am going to show you, I'm going to stop. I didn't do that before, but I'm going to now. No, please don't. All right. So I got one more thing that I'm going to show. It's very, very fast. There is one more thing, and this is the Canvas workspace. So again, for any of you who are scan and cut users, this is the free software that is available. You are not required to use this. And this is the downloaded version. So there is a download version for all of you who hate working online because, you know, everything is so slow to load. There's a download version, and that's what I'm going to show you. So here we have that, and I've already pulled in my piece. So this is the file that has all 6 colors, and they're all in the position where they are. So we have a little quilt square in the center that's a couple colors. We have some shapes that I added in, and then there's the wording themselves. And to pull that in, I actually clicked on the SVG on the left, and I imported that from my computer.
Okay.
That's all I did already prior to opening this so that you guys can see that. All the way on the right of the screen, there's this button that says layers. And that allows us to see and work with individual parts. And this is one of the best ways I've ever seen this work. So we do have the ability to do this in the
other
paid
software
version.
Yeah.
But a lot of you don't have that. So that's why I wanted to make a point out of showing you how to do it here. So I can do it, of course, in the $450 software, but I can also do this in the free software. So when I click on layers, I have, these are the different cuts, and there's 6 different cutting colors, and I have a little eye next to it. And what I can do is see individual colors at a time.
Look at that.
So whatever I have visually on screen, I can go and file and export my FCM, and it pops up. And I know you can't see it because I'm so sorry. Pop-ups don't come up on screen. I get a warning that pops up that says the objects that have been set as hidden are not available to export, which is exactly what I want. I only want to export this set of color in. So all of these, in this instance, 5 pieces, I want this to save as one design. I don't want all the other colors. So this is exactly what I want. So I hit, yep, please do. That's what I want. And then I get the export the file. And that's what I'm going to do. So then I can save that. In this instance, this is as an FCM, which if you're using Canvas Workspace, you have a scan and cut.
Yeah.
FCM is great for you. So that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I then save it as, these are gray, they look black, but gray
Right.
FCM.
Change the name so you know.
I save it literally as
the
color that it is. So I know when I pull it up in my scan and cut that it is exactly the right file for the exact right materials.
Yes.
So this is what I did at first. And then I went and I cut them.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, hey, wait a second.
Right.
I don't have any way. I knew how to line them up.
Mm-hmm.
And Sharon's like, hey, wait a second. How do I line them up?
Yes.
So what I did is I went back and I put a 6-inch square around everything. And before I saved them all, I added a 6-inch square. So I took that guy and I edited it and made it 6 by 6. And then I moved him and centered our design inside of that. And then I forgot to group that all together. So this morning, any of you who have already pre-downloaded the designs, you should have gotten a second email that has that grouped in. And I apologize. You can certainly group at the machine, but why? So the files will be in position inside of a 6-inch square, which will give you that piece. So there's no question as to where they should go. So you got 6-inch pieces of vinyl and you have 6-inch square, and those will be positioned exactly inside of that. Mm-hmm. So this time around, we are saving like this, and that is what was saved. And so each piece is going to cut just like this. Mm-hmm. This one I saved as purple. Imagine that.
Right.
And so on and so forth. So each file was saved as the kind of glitter that it would be cut on. Just like that.
Perfect.
So this is how this is brilliant.
Super easy, right?
This is absolutely brilliant. So if you have ever bought a file online, mm-hmm. which I buy files, I mm-hmm. mean, sometimes I don't have time. I can create lots of things, but I don't always have time to create things. So I buy them because mm-hmm. they're usually very inexpensive.
Yeah.
So, and then you open it and it's a black box and you're like, what the heck am I looking at? Every time, right? It's a black box.
For like, I don't know, the first 5 files I bought on the Scan and Cut and I put on my USB stick and opened it up in my Scan and Cut, I was like, there's the black box here. What? I was like, what did I do wrong?
What did I do?
I was like, I have to figure this out because I'm not calling Lisa.
So if you have that happen to you, and I guarantee if you have purchased a file, it has happened to you. When you open it up in here, you can separate those out. If you took the paper layer class mm-hmm. that did the boo, this we used this, and so I taught you all how to do this and then color code it mm-hmm. so that you know what file is which and which one to cut when and all of those things.
So much easier.
Makes so much sense. So this is brilliantly done. I just wanted to make sure you guys all understood that. So that is Canvas Workspace. Mm-hmm. So I think we're done with that part.
I think so
now.
too.
So I'm just gonna move that out of the way. And now we can talk about putting things together and cutting and mm-hmm. and sewing and all of that. Let's just slide that right out of the way. Okay. Anything else we need that for? I don't think so.
So Linda said, can you send these files to us? This is a purchasable file. Mm-hmm. And it's scrolling down at the bottom. You can go right to our website, LaBouSewingCenter.com. It's in the what's new section. It's right at the bottom. If you just scroll down, this is our holiday celebration. The file itself, which includes the cut files for a Scan and Cut.
Yep.
It also has an SVG file, right?
It has both FCM and SVG available. So no matter what you're using as a cutting machine, you are good.
It has the embroidery file.
Yep.
And it also has the instructions on how to cut pieces and sew them together to make a little pillow or a little wall hanging or whatever you would like. It's just $1.99.
$1.99 for the files.
Yes. And if you would like a fabric kit, we have a fabric kit with or without a pillow. So
Yep.
absolutely you can get those files.
You betcha. And again, if you already purchased them, the grouped with the box was emailed this morning, or it should have been. If you didn't get that or you're having trouble, please let me know, and I apologize. I didn't realize it didn't group. I was like, oh, oops, my bad. So, but
yeah,
I thought it was right on top of it, getting that box in there, and then I didn't group it. So let's turn this guy back on.
Yeah, let's talk about how to cut our files.
Yes. So I did cut all 4 of the non-glitter colors yesterday. So
is the new scan and cut class list for New Year?
There will be scan and cut classes in 2023, most definitely. I don't remember if we start. I think we start with embroidery. So it would be February. It would be a February class, most likely. If you purchased your scan and cut from us, though, you can, of course, sign up for a one-on-one if you have individual questions. But there will be scan and cut classes, most definitely. They will be in store or virtual. So yes, is the answer to that. So wakey, wakey. It took a nap. All right. So these files here are already cut. I did those last night because they take a chunk of time and, didn't want to waste all of yours.
Marianne, classes are in person or virtual. We do them at the same time and for group classes, and we can do the same thing for you if you purchased your machine from us. We can do an in-person, or we can set up a Zoom class for you if you need something. You may. So either or. Do you want to show that on the screen here, what you're doing? Setting up your mat?
Sure. So, like I said, I did cut the 4 that are not glitter. So when you read the instructions, it will tell you to do that. So these are the same depth, which means you can cut them at the same time. The glitters are a different thickness, so you cannot cut this glitter at the same time as you cut this on your mat.
Right.
It won't work. So you will
not
not
get a good cut.
You'll either cut through the non-glitter or you won't cut through the glitter. So it's just dependent upon which one you cut first.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So I have, again, 2 6x6 squares, and I am going to place them in different quadrants of my mat.
And you are placing this with the pretty side
Pretty side down. So you always want to put the shiny side down.
Which also has that plastic film, so don't peel that off first.
The reason that it is shiny is that is your carrier. And I am evidently not very sticky anymore.
Do you want to go maybe down to the bottom?
Sorry. I think it's going to be 6 1/2 dozen. All right, and this is my standard mat. You can use a standard or a low tack. My standard mat has gotten a lot of love, so it's not as brand new and gooey as it was when it was brand new. So I'm just making sure that your corners are staying down. You can put a little bit of tape in there if you need to, but try not to if you can help it. So I have my teal or turquoise glitter in the right, and I have the blue on my left corner. That's going to matter because I want to make sure I put the right file in the right place. I have my USB loaded, and just going to, I'll move this around a little bit. Can you guys see that kind of?
I think so.
All right. So I'm going to pull off my USB, and I am going to pull from the Holiday 22 folder. In the Scan and Cut files, I have glitter blue and I have glitter turquoise. I'm going to do the glitter turquoise first because it's going to load here and I want to move it. So I'm going to do that one first. There is my file. This one is still not grouped because I didn't do that this morning. So I need to group those two things together real quick. And I grab those with my red boxes and then I group them together. And now I can move that over into my right hand's position. And I'm going to now grab the blue, again in my Scan and Cut folder. There's the glitter blue. And again, that's not grouped, so I need to group that. One thing that you will want to do, and I didn't pre-do that for you, is mirror image.
Mm-hmm.
See, I had a challenge for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what we're going to do is, if you aren't familiar with grouping, I want to select both the items on my left, not the items on my right. So you can see that I have a red box on those items, but I'm not selecting these. That's what I'm looking to do. And now I group those together. So now I have this, which I could move, and everything moves. So that box on the outside, you can use that file if you are not ready to download the other ones or whatnot. You can still use them. But what I need to do is, here is the left mirror image, tap the one on the right, and mirror image. This is because we're using heat transfer vinyl and everything needs to cut in reverse because we're cutting on the back.
Yep.
So if you haven't cut vinyls before, very important when you're doing heat transfer vinyl, especially when you're using a font, that you cut in mirror image. So now I need to tell it I'm all good. So I hit OK and I'm ready to cut. And it is going to come to my screen here. It says cut. It's going to take 7 minutes to cut these two pieces. The big thing here is you want your half cut feature on. And I don't think you guys can see that. Maybe that.
Yep, that's better.
So here's the half cut on, 7 minutes. And my speed is all the way at 5. So I'm good there. That'll help with that. These are very detailed cuts. All right. So the thin letters of like the word quilt, the lines of the W are very, very detailed. I highly recommend the vinyl blade to do these cuts.
Yeah. I'm
not sure that your standard black topped blade is going to work for this project. You can try it, but I don't know how that's going to come out. Highly, highly recommend. All right. Once I have all of that in there, my mat is loaded. I'm going to hit start. And that is going to do its thing.
So it is checking the depth right now.
It is.
And this is why we don't want there to be two different types of thicknesses on there, because with this particular type of Scan and Cut, it auto adjusts the blade pressure. So one of the questions was, what cut depth do you use for the glitter vinyl? Because we're using the Scan and Cut,
whatever it figures out,
DX, the machine itself automatically sets that for us.
It does.
We just need to make sure that we have that half cut on, because we do not want to cut all the way through the clear.
Yep. So kind of, I generally describe that as when it does its test, it's off the top of the mat where there's no material. So it's kind of like a baseline.
Yes.
And then it goes to where there is materials, and it assumes there's material where there's a cut line. So it goes to the start of your cut line, and it drops the blade again, and it gets the distance between, and obviously this is larger than, that is just flying up there, isn't it? That edge doesn't want to stay. That little bit. Sorry. And then that distance between those two is what it sets the blade. When you're using a half cut, it takes that distance and it cuts it in half.
That makes sense.
It tries. So that's as simple as that. So all of the DX models do that, and you don't have to worry about what cut depth to use.
It's nice to have a camera on it with your back turned to it, isn't it?
I'm like, oh, that didn't look great.
That wasn't right.
Oh dear. So this is the cuts, and I do have the square that's in there. It's going to be pretty close on all of them, depending upon where you're at. I can see that my cut line is just a hair out. I'm not that worried about that. And the reason is because I have
a little wiggle
two
room.
eyes on my face,
right?
That I can go, I don't like the way that looks, before we press anything down. So you do have that block for the visual. What that's going to do is give you, sorry, let me take this off here real quick and you can see what I mean. So that squaring cut, I didn't have my vinyl all the way to the edge. I don't know if they can see that any better, but
there you go.
All right. So when I go to line these up, it's going to be hair off. But what it does do is gives me a basic centering for all of my shapes. So I'm going to still want to look before I press.
When you line up. Yeah.
Which makes perfect and logical sense. So when I go to weed, you're going to need a picking tool of some sort. Ours works really well, but there's lots of other ones out there. So we do have these in stock if you don't have one and need one.
Does the scan and cut come with a weeding tool?
It does not.
Okay.
So it also doesn't come with any heat transfer vinyl. So we carry a couple different ways of purchasing heat transfer. There is the Brother, which is really great heat transfer. It is a 3-foot roll. So sometimes that's a little bit more than you need. So we decided years ago that we were going to also carry in a third-party brand that we sell by the foot, which is a little bit less expensive way to kind of grow your color collage, if you will. So basically, I'm going to warn you guys ahead of time, there's a lot of waste because you have things in the middle and there's a lot of empty space. So warning ahead of time. You're going to...
You can't save this.
You can't. There's just no way to do that and still know where your edges are.
Right.
All right. So you're going to stab the corner, and then I usually twist. So stab and twist, and that separates pretty much on its own. That's just my system. You don't have to follow my system. You can follow yours. But that's how it works for me. The first one that I have is right down there, and I just want to pull. So you can see that cut really clean. I think the top left corner's having a hissy fit, but that's all right. So the letters are cut through, but the plastic is not. That's the half cut. That's what it's all about. And so we want to I want turquoise first, or I want purple first. I want purple first.
Want me to work on peeling that away?
Is it all right?
Yeah, you're right. That top corner is popped up a little bit, but it was okay.
So the one spot that gave me a little pause was the quilt with the little thin L and the little tiny dot. So just kind of be gentle. I wouldn't rip really fast, but you can see that this is not giving me a hard time by any stretch of the imagination. So you'll need to pull out the intermediate areas and things, but that is a very easy weed. And yep, I like tweezers for those little inside spots. And then you'll need to, of course, do that for everything. So just find a flat surface and
How to cut?
it didn't finish because that top corner. Just gonna take that corner down. It's cutting fine where it can get. It thinks it's too thick.
Because it keeps popping up.
Yeah. All right, it'll finish now. All right. So the purple has a blue back. It's very confusing. It was one of those when we got it. We were like, I didn't order blue. I was so confused. But it yep, see, now it's done.
Now it's done. Yay.
And the purple is kind of a metallic purple. It's really pretty. You having fun?
Totally. So you've got to pull out your
Interior letter
pieces. Yep. Take your big pieces off. Otherwise, you won't be able to, like, I mean, an O would be fine if you didn't take out the center part of it, but it looks better when you get the insides out.
That like looks like ribbon I can put on a present.
Right?
I should take that home. It'd be so pretty. So this is the a little bit more time consuming portion, obviously.
And we're going to show you how the layering process works, which is why we started with
which is why we're doing this.
2 colors. Yeah.
Why we're doing this live, so that you guys can see, you know, the gist of what to do. So the reason that we recommend that you start with purple is because there is that little quilt square in the center of the whole piece. And
You looking for these?
just looking for another set of tweezers.
Oh, you can use these.
done?
I was using
Okay.
my stiletto.
Okay. The base of that quilt piece is the purple. So once you have that in position, it doesn't matter what layer anything goes in. So you're going to have a lot of these little annoying parts that you have to pull out. Unfortunately, that is part of
Tiny letters.
vinyl and lettering.
Still quicker than embroidering.
It is definitely faster than an embroider. Oops.
Okay.
That E wanted to come right along with the rest of it.
All right. So if you were going to do this and you wanted to work with the pattern that we have included in the instructions, we suggested that you have your pattern your essentially your little pillow piece pre-sewn. So in order to get to this piece here, you have your 2 separate squares. You are just going to sew these together, pretty side to pretty side. Along one edge, we are recommending that you use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once you have this piece sewn together, you will press it open. I pressed it to this pretty side over here, and then you are going to sew your border pieces on. So you will have 2 pieces that are 10 inches. They are going to go on the top and the bottom. And then you have 2 smaller pieces, and they are going to get sewn on to the outside edge pieces. And then you will want to have everything pressed. So once you have that set, you will be able to layer your fabric pieces in here. When you're prepping this fabric, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you have some sort of a pressing cloth on this fabric over here. When we did ours the first time,
you're going to be putting a lot of heat.
We did get a little bit of
fabric,
fabric scorch over here that happened. And we have a little pillow form in there. So definitely use a heat.
Just cover it so that you're safe.
Yeah, we've got a little piece of fabric over here that we're going to make sure that we cover that with.
Almost there.
We just have, you're going to want to have something that is a little bit stiff for your surface when you're doing vinyl. If your area that you press on is really, really squishy, sometimes you don't get enough pressure, firm pressure downward. It is definitely important.
I'm going to take the purple one.
Mm-hmm.
Approximately, I'll be there.
All right. So what we are going to do is we are going to lay this in the area that we need it to be. I can see a little bit of my outside piece over here. Here is my finished project here. So I know that I'm getting in the general vicinity. We kind of like to layer the pieces on top of each other to get a little bit of a visual.
I put this one on it, on the purple.
Yep. Because it has the star.
Because it had the star, and it has the bobbin that runs up the edge here. So it gave me a really good visual to make sure that I was.
Because the bobbin is in a different color. So just so when you're looking at this. So Lisa, when you download a .png and the black lines are different thicknesses, how do you correct it?
If the lines are different thicknesses, it'll create different thicknesses.
Yeah. Aside from just redrawing the entire process, you can't change the thickness of a line. You will get different cut pieces.
Yeah. If you have
software
$450 software, you can tell it to choose the line properties, and then you can actually move them.
Yeah.
Depends on, so if you are in Craft and Cut, on the left hand side of your screen, underneath the select arrow, there is the dots. Select your dots, and then when you select that item, you can move the lines so that they're all the same width, but you're doing it visually. You're not doing it. You're creating the picture that you have. So, all right. So this quilt square here is what we're really looking at. So I am lining up the edges of my star and making sure that the other pieces are straight. So, my E is not overlapping here, and that everything else looks perpendicular. So that is the piece that I am really looking to line up. So I know that.
So this is the utmost top And this is the bottom, and this is the leftmost piece. So that will help
Where's
us
the flat one?
Get our pieces.
So when you're placing it, you know that this goes in this corner. The needle word is here and the thread word is there. So we can literally place that purple with a visual, and you should have plenty of surface area around to be able. So you want to make sure that you are straight. So I'm actually a little crooked, I think. Is that better?
Yes.
So once we have that, I want to peel off. You can only fuse one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you're going to take your, and I don't think I can get it all. Can I get it? Oh, I might be able to get it all. We're going to press for approximately 10 to 15 seconds. I'm pushing hard. Can you tell? My hand's shaking.
Your arms.
It's in an odd angle too.
Yeah.
Once you have what you think is a good press, you are going to gently peel back. I lost an R.
You lost an R.
I think it was the lift there. It wasn't flat.
Mm.
That look good?
Yep. Maybe turn it sideways. Yeah.
So if you have a spot that did not fuse, just hit it again. No big deal. You don't ever want your iron to hit the vinyl itself. It'll just melt the crap out of it.
Yep.
That's what the plastic is for. All right. So there is the first fuse. Once we have that, we literally just start layering everything on top. So it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what your, maybe I should get a different fabric that doesn't have that big seam there.
Well, I can also maybe
that's fine.
Just do it in 2 sections.
Yep. So again, the heat on those, you should have a little guide. And we're looking at, I didn't bring one over here, but it's about 10 to 15 seconds. And then move over. If we're using a smaller iron, first time around, I used a big iron and it pressed everything in one shot. So it wasn't a big deal. If you have a heat press, you certainly can use that.
Let's try that. There we go.
2 down.
2 down.
So when you are working with heat transfer glitter, you can layer glitter if the glitter is the top layer. You cannot put something on top of glitter itself. It just won't hold because of the texture of the glitter. So that's, we do have glitter being used, but we don't have glitter as the, we don't have any more.
No.
I gotta get to work. So you just keep working the different layers and visually checking. The squares will keep everything in the center when you were cutting. So it's going to be pretty close, and you'll have that balance of approximately a 1/2 inch all the way around with the plastic. It's not going to be 100% exact, unfortunately, but it will be pretty close. And then just make a small adjustment as needed. How you doing?
Good.
I enjoy this.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
This is like therapeutic almost. I know some people don't like weeding.
Oh, it's kind of fun.
I like it.
Yeah.
Still got something not stuck.
Yeah, I didn't
get that corner. So if you are embroidering your design, you're going to embroider it first and then trim your background fabric and sew it into the pillow or however you're going to use the piece. If you are ironing it and using the heat transfer, you're going to sew it into the piece first and then use your backgrounds as your centering. It gives you the edge to really balance everything easily. So this is the mini project Aliso iron. We don't keep these in stock, but we are more than happy to order it for you if that is something that is on your Christmas list. Sarah has a pink one. I'm sure you are all shocked to see.
Yeah,
mine
yours is more magenta,
mine is
purple.
the teal.
Oh, the teal one. That's right. I was thinking you had the purple one.
No, I went teal, so it matched my sewing room.
The little eye on the scissor
just doesn't want to go.
Yeah.
Did it flip?
No, it just when I start to lift it off, it just wants to stick to the. There we go. Sometimes you just have to be patient and tell it who's boss. And by telling it who's boss, just put more heat on it.
I think I lost the eye dot on that one again. Oh, well.
Oh. My A came up.
Where's our first thing in the morning pickup? You having fun?
A is upside down. There we go.
You need the tweezers?
Yes, please. There you go. That downward pressure works really well.
Imagine that. Yep, I lost the eye in that bobbin again.
Well, he's very consistent.
Well, he is that.
There we go. Is this one done? Whoops.
Oh, no, almost.
Oh, that darn one again. There's always got to be one, right?
Yep. No matter what the project is, there's always one.
Rebecca says weeding is satisfying like house cleaning, but without the work.
Yes, like that. I like it. That is a fantastic description. So that one I needed the middle word so to be in lowercase with the others. So that one, that was my creative to go around that quilt block.
That works.
So I could change it, so I did.
It is nice to be able to have the power. And the more you get on here, the easier it is to see how they layer.
Right.
Because you can just, they kind of just nestle right in.
They start to nestle. Absolutely.
And if you really had one that was just being super difficult, you could always just cut out that little corner and put it in place if you absolutely had to. If you got something slightly off kilter.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Slow and steady.
Wins the race.
Yep.
Got a nice mess going on over here. Almost got my bobbin.
Yeah, we're almost done. Pam says that she has had wordplay for many years and she learned more this morning than all the times she's had it. This was fantastic. Thanks so much. Have a fantastic holiday. You too, Miss Pam.
Thank you. Last one.
Last one.
That on that side. There's a little stray stowaway there. That purple evidently wants to go in there.
There we go. That looks good. All right. Last one. So if you were going to do this with your embroidery machine, how about some tips for embroidery? This is a lot of stitches.
It is. So the first thing that I did is after, of course, I chose my fabric, is I fused Easy Tea to the back of my fabric. That was step number one. We did decide we were going to do a pillow. And so the optional batting certainly is going to help absorb stitches. So there's batting in there. And then I also put a no-show mesh cutaway in there. So in my hoop, and I hooped it, I did not float it. I hooped my fabric that had a fusible backing. I hooped the batting and I hooped the no-show mesh.
Yes.
And of course I starched the fabric.
Yes. Really, when I do lots of words and I love to play with words, I cannot tell you the difference that using batting underneath those embroidered words makes. It is it
relieves those puckers.
You don't get those hard edges, so you don't get those weird wrinkles around the different types of letters. It just lays so much flatter. And it does not need to be a puffy batting. It can be something that is really relatively thin, but it does just make all the difference. That scissor does not want to. He is being a little booger. It really does make all the difference in the world. So when I stitched this, I did like flip and sew. So if you are intending to do flip and sew on your embroider project so that you don't have to sort of layer in later on, make sure that when you put this in your hoop, if you have a hoop that's big enough, move this over to the opposite side, or make sure that your batting piece is big enough to support adding your extra pieces around on the outside.
Yeah, that I didn't think far enough. And we hadn't 100% decided how we were going to do it yet. And so my batting was through my whole hoop, but I didn't shift the pattern to the side of the hoop. So,
so cute.
But yeah,
so cute.
Even with a lot of yammering, this was done in less than 2 hours.
Yes.
So,
and so once you have either your embroider project or this project, and you want to a quick way to finish the edge without needing to do binding, we took 2 pieces of material, right? I just folded down the edge. You really only have to do one edge. I like to do both just in case you take something in and out a lot so the one edge doesn't fray. And you literally are just going to layer this on top like so. And then you're going to literally just stitch 1/4 of an inch around the entire project. And then you are going to sort of birth it through this hole. You're going to pull the whole thing through the outside, and it's going to look something like this. And then we did, because we wanted this to fit these cute little Kimberbell pillow blanks, we stitched in the ditch here, which made like this cute pillow flange. But that was
you could use it as, you know, cookies and coffee, or it could be my mouse pad,
right?
Or
you could put something else over here, like
absolutely,
if you wanted
a monogram or
a
large spool of thread, you know, or something that you wanted to accent or something like that. Absolutely.
Yep. And that is our
holiday project. And it was a lot of fun coming up with and choosing the colors and ironing and all of the fun little bits and pieces. So we hope you enjoy it as much as we did. Is there a
all right.
So yeah, that's it.
Yes.
So yes, wordplay is a lot of fun, and there's certainly it might not be exactly what you want when it spits it out, but it's so easy to manipulate after the fact. So let it do the hard work for you, and then you can add your little personal touches to it and make it as cute as this guy.
I know. Now I just need nobody come in because I'm going to be in the corner playing with wordplay.
No, she's not. I already have plans for her.
Yeah,
for
I'm not. I don't get to do that, but wouldn't it be fun?
That would be really fun, but that is
all day
not.
long. We just wordplay.
That is not in the plans, unfortunately. No. But that sounds fantastic. But
absolutely.
For those of you who haven't already, we are really getting somewhere on Block of the Month. So
I know
we only have one less place left. One more filled, so there's only a couple left. Very, very few spots left if you were contemplating it. So, yeah.
All right. Well,
very fun and
our last
exciting
class of
we'll go.
We have demo. No, we have
digital dealer the week between Christmas and New Year, and we will be live. We haven't figured out next week if I'll pop in or if I'll Spock from home or what we'll do or if we won't be doing. It'll depend on how things are going. So we'll let you know. So, but thank you for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed it. We certainly did. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever your holiday is. Yeah, I hope it's wonderful.
Merry.
Absolutely. And hope all of the family makes it to wherever they're going with a wonderful trip and safe trip. And hope the food's good.
Yeah.
Because that's the important
part. Right. Christmas calories don't count, right?
That is absolutely. Yep. Thanks again.
Bye.
You guys take care. See you next time.